Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Good morning. We're triple streaming. We are talking about the United Kingdom now. I believe is officially in a crisis. We've spoke about this. I've spoke about this many times, and what I speak about in the means of crisis, I mean a subverted crisis. So I don't want to go into it now, guys. But if you think about the 4 phases of subversion, you've got demoralization, destabilization, crisis, normalization. Right now, I believe, and listen, guys, can you remember me? Like I've done like hour monologues on ideological subversion. I'm not going to go there now, guys. All right, I'm just going to talk about I'm just going to try and give you guys an overview. So I've talked about ideological subversion, how in the United Kingdom we have been heavily subverted, where we are being heavily subverted, to a stage where we're already demoralized, that the United Kingdom is a demoralized country. We are being destabilized, and we are now potentially putting our tiptoes into the crisis phase. Look back through my previous videos, ladies and gentlemen. Look back through my previous videos. Like, months and months and months and months ago, I was saying, get ready for the summer, ladies and gentlemen, because this summer you're going to have a whole host of things happening. Like when I was talking about this months ago, I was talking about Britain being in and tell me if this cap fits, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me if this is relevant. Months ago, I was saying, like way back in the winter, I was saying, right, guys, get ready for the summer, because in the summer you're going to have a disastrous economic situation whereby you have literally got hundreds, maybe even millions more people searching for jobs and potentially millions less jobs. So what kind of a strain do you think that puts on the population? Like what kind of a strain do you think that puts on the population? You know, huge strain. We're also going to have this situation where more migrants keep coming and we keep having to pay these migrants. Look, guys, all you have to do is look back through my previous videos. So when I tell you what's coming next, it's absolutely fine. You know, like last night, we had somebody trying to call me out with like capital letters, all big and flashy, and then they got proven wrong. You know, but when people are like, just don't try and call me out, guys. All right, just go with it. And then once I've finished, and when it happens, time and time again, you kind of understand the direction, because everything boils down to subversion right now, guys. All these crazy decisions that we're seeing go through the courts, all these, you know, these craziness that's going through the courts, guys, you know, it's all part of subversion. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're on today. I'm going to be talking about that today. We are in a crisis in the United Kingdom. We are. And I've said many videos long time ago. In fact, guys, actually, a quick question. Do you think we're in a crisis in the UK? I don't know. Maybe we're not in a crisis. Maybe we are not in a crisis. I don't know. I believe I see the beginning of a crisis. In my image of a crisis is burnt out cars, no law, burnt out tires, segregation, literally the rule of law broken down and military on the streets. That's my image of crisis, but there's varying levels of crisis. Listen, guys, if you're just joining, I'm going to play a short video now. This is by Nick Ferrari. All right, I'm going to play a short video about Nick Ferrari, and I think that's his name, Nick Ferrari, and he articulates everything perfectly. So let me just play this.
Bloody dare they, a government department putting forward the idea that the need to meet the human rights of asylum seekers by housing them in hotels outweighs the safety concerns of local families. I will say it again, how bloody dare they?
So what he's saying there is, how dare the government say that the needs of migrants in hotels outweigh the families that live there? Again, guys, listen, I was kind of like irate yesterday. I was ranting a lot. You've got to look at this with sober eyes, and you've got to understand what's coming.
Who is paying the council tax that pays for the local authority that is quite rightly trying to look after the interests and possible safety, bear in mind there's a case going before the courts, possible safety of some of its citizens? I look forward to speaking with the Home Secretary of Ed Cooper, who might not personally authorise that, but it's come from her department. An injunction blocking asylum seekers from staying at a hotel in Epping in Essex set a precedent that would encourage similar action by other councils. Extraordinary.
So there we are, guys. You know, it's unbelievable what happened yesterday. I don't think people like, when I was speaking to, I don't think people understand the enormity, the absolute enormity of what's just happened. You know, yeah, I said to my mum, I don't know if she's watching. I said to my mum yesterday, I was telling her, I said, oh yeah, mum, those, you know, those migrants are going to be staying in that hotel. She said, oh yeah, I know they would. But like, yes, but like the whole legal precedent now, those legalities, and again, I'm not going to get into it now, guys, because yeah, we don't have a constitution in the UK. And I had people messaging me last night saying we do. Trust me, guys, all right? Don't embarrass yourself, all right? Britain, England, Great Britain, United Kingdom, we do not have a constitution, all right? So just stop it, all right? We don't have one. If it is, like, where can I see it? We have a series of documents, but those documents can be manipulated, omitted, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Not translated, you know, misinterpreted, you know, so we do not have a constitution in this country. And this is like one of the massive problems that you get when you don't have a set of laws and legislation to live by. And another thing I've been saying, guys, and this is coming as well, this is coming. So I've said this, I've floated this idea a few times, all right? I floated this idea a few times, all right? We are going to give thousands of acres to migrants. We are going to give to illegal migrants thousands, and just give it them. We're just going to give thousands and thousands of acres to migrants. And we're going to see ghettos, you know, we're going to, how many times have I said this, guys? We're going to see, like, you know, these tented cities, these woodland cities, people of the woodland realm. You know, we are going to literally see migrants living in the woods. Now, I first talked to my friend, my Ukrainian friend, about this, and he was laughing. He honestly, guys, he was like belly laughing. You say, what? So you have migrants living in the woods? I'm like, yes, mate. Like, we've got loads of migrants living in the woods. Hang on, guys. Give me a second. So we are going to have a situation come soon where we're going to have this situation soon come in the United Kingdom, guys, where migrants are claiming adverse possession on our countryside, and it'll go through. It will go through, guys. Now, I've been talking about that for quite a while, so I just want to share a short video here, guys, and I can only share the audio, but you'll understand what I'm talking about. So there's this. So let me set the scene, guys. I'm giving you guys the audio now. So there's this Scouse guy. I don't know who his name is. And he's walking into this woodland, and there's a load of migrants sat around in chairs, and there's tents up. So just listen to the exchange.
Because someone said that people are living in the woods. Would that be used? Obviously, use okay. No, are you having any problems here?
No, you have a problem.
Well, no. I just want to find out.
I don't touch anything.
Don't touch anything?
Yeah, I don't touch it.
Well, like it's here?
Yeah, this is mine, bro.
Okay, so what's the problem with me touching it? Okay, so I'm getting aggression straight away from you. Why is that? Seriously? Why are you being aggressive straight away?
So I'm not going to play the whole video, guys, but what we're seeing here is, like, you know, these ghettos emerging. Mark my words, ladies and gentlemen. Mark my videos. Anyone wants to troll me out on this, it's going to happen, and, you know, it's going to be a long burner. But we are going to see scenes at some point of legal challenges going in. There's going to be legal challenges where migrants have been on a patch of land for 10 years, or they're claiming 10 years, and then they're going to claim that as their own land. And you know what, guys? We're going to give it them. We are going to give it them. And then you just won't be able to walk your dog through there. You won't be able to play. I mean, guys, like realistically now, like, is this not getting a bit too much? Is the saturation point not too much? Are we not oversaturated right now? We have got tented cities now, and these people are living in the woods. We don't know who they are. I don't know who they are. I would say they're undocumented. They've probably got no passport, no identification. We don't know if they've committed crimes in the country they've came from. We don't know what they're doing. Like, how do you deal with that, guys? You know, and this is all part of subversion. It's all part of that ideological subversive push. But yeah, that's another thing that we've got coming, ladies and gentlemen. We've got, right, I just want to play another thing here, guys. A short video from a lady in, I believe she's in Epping. So listen, does she sound far right?
I'm fed up of people like that across the road calling us far right, because I'm not far right. I'm a concerned British citizen. I've paid my taxes since I was 17. I got my first job. I've worked all my life. I don't want my money or anyone else's money, being put on illegal immigrants.
So there's a thing right there, guys. All right. This all boils down to a constitutional issue. Now, we don't have a constitution in the United Kingdom. So doesn't matter what that lady wants. Doesn't matter what that lady wants. She, like, legally, like, she has got no rights to want anything, because we don't have that system. We don't have any rights in the United Kingdom. We don't. And anybody that thinks that we do, like, have constitutional rights, we just don't have it, guys. You know, we're told that we have constitutional rights. We are. And people think that we have a constitution in the UK, but we don't. And that is the reality, guys, okay? Excuse me, sorry. So we got that, there's that woman there, and she's, she's talking about, she's paid taxes all her life, and she doesn't want her tax money being spent on X, Y, and Z. She doesn't have, and again, like, but the way we're set up in the UK, she does not have the right, have I cut myself? She doesn't have the right to decide where that money's being spent. And that's just the reality. That money will be spent wherever the potentially subverted government decide it's going to be spent. Right, let me close down. And do you know how Margaret Thatcher used to deal with these?
For giving instructions.
So this is an exchange, guys, real quick, before we, before we talk about like ECHR and what we can and can't do. This is how Margaret Thatcher used to deal with illegal migrants.
Yeah. What excuse has the Prime Minister got for giving instructions that in the middle of the night, armed riot police raid children, women, and men, shove them into caged lorries, and forcibly deport them to the country from which they had fled?
So Margaret Thatcher, right? She's getting questioned here by, I believe it's Neil Kinnock. And Neil Kinnock is saying, what excuse does Margaret Thatcher have for sending armed police to raid migrant homes in the middle of the night, round up women and children, put them in the back of caged vehicles, and deport them to the country that they came from? So that's the question that he's asked Margaret Thatcher. And Margaret Thatcher's response is,
Mr. Speaker, sir, I understand from my right honourable friend that they were not armed police. But I also...
So she's saying they weren't armed, but yes, we did do everything else, but they weren't armed.
Point out that at the International Conference on Indo-Chinese Refugees in Geneva in June, the international community agreed that refugees would be resettled in other countries, and that those that did not qualify as refugees would not be resettled and should return to Vietnam. And therefore, we returned some of those, as the right honourable gentleman knows, to Vietnam. The people in Hong Kong could not go on taking any more. Many other countries nearby have pushed away the Vietnamese boat people. We have not. And those who are refugees, and there are some 13,000 of them, will not be returned. But it is perfectly in order to return illegal immigrants to their country of origin.
So Margaret Thatcher is saying it is perfectly in order to return illegal migrants to the country of origin. That's what Margaret Thatcher's saying, not me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying that. I've got no views on this. I've got no views. The exchange goes on, but you know, that's how like Margaret Thatcher used to deal with this. You know, police would turn up, round people up in the middle of the night, get them out of the beds, and they'd be encaged. You know, they'd be caged and gone. What? I mean, it's unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we are on. I'm a little bit more, I'm a little bit calmer today. I'm a little bit calmer today. Let me jump on the comments. I do apologize for being on a couple of minutes late this morning. The internet was giving me problems. For some reason, it has been giving me problems. Yeah, the internet was giving me problems and I couldn't find a t-shirt. So I'm jumping onto the TikTok challenge. I don't know why I would say TikTok challenge. I'm jumping onto the TikTok chat. Good morning, Sadlers, Wormsy, Mickey Boy, Four Paws, Dazza 22, John Thistlethwaite, Michelle Dillon. Lots of names, guys. I'm not going to be able to get all the names. Lou, Laura, Tracy Webb, Tina, Hamid, Keith Newbury. Buddy's joining. Laurie C saying morning. Good morning to you, Laurie C. Dodsbra is saying first ever migrant hotel protest in my hometown, Swindon today. Hope it's peaceful. Do we think, ladies and gentlemen, are we in a crisis? I believe we are. I believe we're in a crisis, but not the crisis that I think we're in a deeper crisis right now because we're not in a crack. The cracks have been shown. Literally, guys, like it's, you know, when you say this, you know, when I say this, it's very difficult for me to say because when I'm saying it, I believe it. And I don't want to believe it because the words that I'm saying are so terrifying. Because you can say the words, but the deeper understanding of these words, it is terrifying, guys, all right? The British government are working against the British people. I don't think... And it's okay to say, yeah, we know they always do that. Yeah, we know that. No. Stop. The words I've just said there, ladies and gentlemen, the British government are working against the will of the British people. The British government right now are working against its own people. And yeah, I know, you know, oh yeah, we all know that. No. So think about the bigger ramifications of that. So that now gives weight to, you know, these crates of firearms that people are talking about. That gives added weight to the potential of that. Are the British military planning, are the government planning this? It gives more weight to it. Do you see what I'm talking about? You know, and it's never, when you analyze these scenarios and these situations, it's never you never find a big smoking gun. You never find one of those. What you do see is these little snippets of a deeper problem. I'll play it you again, guys. Let me play you this again.
How dare they? How bloody dare they? A government department putting forward the idea that the need to meet the human rights of asylum seekers by housing them in hotels outweighs the safety concerns of local families. I will say it again. How bloody dare they? So, like, when you take that and accept that the government at the highest level are working on this, I mean, we've seen these boats. Again, another thing I was saying, right, we need to follow these life jackets. We need to understand. And again, I know I was a little bit late with the life jackets, and I know a few people had mentioned it before me. I didn't know that. We talk about the life jackets, follow the life jackets, and then a couple of weeks later, there was that guy, Chris Phillip or something. He was listening, and he was listening on the radio. And you get the communications between what is it, like the French military and the British Coast Guard or something, and they're saying, yeah, can you hand back over? I don't know, like 19. I don't know how many it was, but basically you get that
communication between the French and the British, and they say, can you hand back over those life jackets so we can recycle them, obviously. And then you get the boats, the rubber dinghies being loaded back on trucks, and then the trucks being sent back over to France. So, and now you have, you know, the government saying, let me just repeat this, guys. So this is not me saying it. This is Nick Ferrari on LBC.
How dare they? How bloody dare they? A government department putting forward the idea that the need to meet the human rights of asylum seekers by housing them in hotels outweighs the safety concerns of local families. I will say it again, how bloody dare they?
So now we have to accept, now you have to accept that the government is not on your side. And a lot of people don't understand what that, how huge that statement is, guys. You don't understand how huge that statement is. The government is, tell me I'm wrong, guys. You know, please tell me I'm wrong. You've got to accept it. You can't pretend to be ideological about this and say, oh, but this is, it's not happening. Literally, the legal precedents now, the rights of migrants supersede the safety of migrants supersede the safety of kids. Anyway, guys, let me get the rest of the. I'll come down the comments. I will come down the comments, guys. I am a little bit more measured today. I do want to get a little bit more didactic. But the United Kingdom, guys, the UK. I mean, I think we're in a crisis, and I believe this is potentially worse than what I predicted, although not as violent. Debbie Doobs is saying morning. Jules, sorry, he's saying morning. Jodie Lee saying morning. Debbie Doobs is saying last night the trolls were crazy. Yeah, I had to banish loads of people last night. I wasn't in the mood. To like get into arguments with people, because like you get into an argument with someone and then they either vanish or they either say like get aggressive, or like you're like, you know, it's ridiculous. You can't argue. It's very difficult to argue with stupid people. It is very difficult to argue with people who are who are stupid. Debbie Doobs is saying Nick Ferrari is better than James O'Brien. I can't deal with James O'Brien, guys. I can't. Laurie C is saying we're in one big fat mess. That's for sure. It is for sure. That is 100%. Laurie C. Debbie Doobs is saying there are already ghettos in Rotherham. Yeah, I mean, there's ghettos all over the place, guys. Snowdrops is saying, so that they said they were from Palestine. So we're talking about the woodland, the people from the woodland realm who are not elves. Debbie Doobs is saying we need another Maggie. Yeah, Maggie wouldn't stand for it. Debbie Doobs wasn't a fan of Maggie, but she loved her country. Linda Lou saying, morning to you, Linda Lou. Right, Tracy McGregor is saying, is that real, the crates? Right, okay. So I do need to address this, right? And look, guys, I've been asked a lot of times about these crates, all right? I still think like, okay, so I'll give you, if you don't know what we're talking about now, guys, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, the rumors about these crates being brought in, and they've got weapons and munitions, and I still struggle with it, guys. I still struggle with it. All right. First of all, and I've said, and I've been wrong before, guys. I have, when you guys were saying, "Oh, the government flying in foreign soldiers and secretly putting them in hotels," I was wrong on that. The government are. It came out, the government are flown in thousands of Afghanis. They've flown them in under that. You guys know what I'm talking about. But Tracy McGregor's saying, is it real about these crates? So, I waffled then. Let me pin that again. So the masses of crates, munitions, we'll just call it, being taken into hotels. I still think the premise is ridiculously unlikely. Like, it's just so unlikely but hear me out. It's really unlikely, I believe, that it happened the way people are talking about. It happened whereby, some hotel manager just put them in a spare room. Because what we're talking about now is at government level, are we saying that like to be able, like the government are smuggling this stuff in or whoever? And again, guys, what we do know right now, like, I don't know, what we can speculate right now from watching current events is the government are actively working against the people. So if you take that on board and think, right, okay, and accept that, then could the government be bringing in crates of munitions? Absolutely. Absolutely 100% they could. We would have no idea about that. Are they putting them and storing them in hotels? I think that is ridiculously unlikely. You know, like they could store them off site. You know, they could store them off site in a locked, in one of those locked metal storage containers, put security on it and say, yeah, you're not allowed in there. That's all you'd have to do. And nobody would know about it. If it's in a hotel, it's very easy to walk in and find. So if the question is there munitions being put into hotels? I think that's very unlikely. Are the government bringing it in? I don't know, guys. I'm not writing anything off. I'm not. I think it's unlikely, but I'm not writing anything off. And you can't write anything off now, guys. You cannot write anything off. It's just, you've got that scenario now where the government are working against the people. There's no denying it. And it's saddening, guys, but it is what it is. Debbie Doobs is saying nothing. Yeah, do you know what, Debbie Doobs? I should have answered these two comments together. So Debbie Doobs is saying nothing seems as far-fetched anymore. It doesn't. Like, nothing now. Like, when you guys were asking me these questions maybe 12 months ago, I was seeing a lot of these things as far-fetched. I do international stuff, guys. I do. Like, watch my early videos. My spectrum, you know, my area of expertise is international affairs. When I turned that inward on the United Kingdom and started looking and thinking, well, hang on a minute, that doesn't make sense. Well, hang on a minute, what's going off over there? You know, I started to uncover a lot of realizations. Linda Lou is saying, I don't think we will get out of this. Our protesting is a part of the realization our country is dying. Again, I do think it's going to lead to a United States takeover, but we really did do that last night, US takeover, guys. Debbie Doobs is saying nothing would shock me anymore. No, I agree. You know, literally, I agree. Tracy McGregor is saying, makes you think who's actually getting their pockets greased in the government. Oh, I would say all of the above. You know, I really would say all of the above are getting their pockets greased. Tracy McGregor is saying, why are they taking the dinghies back? How are they doing that? I'm shocked at hearing that. Tracy McGregor, did you not know that? Tracy McGregor is saying, why are they taking the rubber dinghies back? I would say to recycle the rubber dinghies. I mean, you can't do that unless you're doing it at government level. You can't. You cannot do that unless you're doing that at government level. So Tracy McGregor, why are they taking rubber dinghies back? ? How are they doing that? I'm shocked in hearing that. So this was out. Andrew Bridgen posted. Andrew Bridgen posted a series of videos on his X account showing rubber dinghies in like an like a rubber dinghy storage yard or something. So when people come over, when the migrants come over, the rubber dinghies are and again, look, guys, I don't know how credible this video is. I'm just saying what I've seen, and nobody's countered it. Nobody said it's not real. It's just like, yeah, that's what happens. So in the video, the guy is saying, look, all these rubber dinghies are here. Look, and he's like recording through this fence. And then he's on a bike. Well, I believe he's on a bike. He's running really fast. The rubber dinghies get loaded onto a truck. He gets the registration of that truck, and then he follows that truck, and then he sees the truck waiting to get on a ferry to go back to France with all the rubber dinghies on it. So, like, that's literally at government level, guys. That, like, you can't authorize that unless you're working at government level. You can't. you're literally talking now about the seized goods, which is what it is. That they are seized goods. They are part of the government. That it's seized. So, like, I don't know what the mechanism is to return seized goods back to people smuggling gangs. I don't know. Tell me. Can you tell me what it is? Can somebody tell me what that? And again, like the enormity of this, guys. The enormity. It's you've just got to accept it, and accept what's coming back. What's going to come next. Debbie Doobs is saying it needs to be the British people take back our country, but we've been beaten down and threatened. Yeah, exactly, Debbie Doobs. People are too worried about paying their bills. Do you know who's not worried about paying their bills? D Marie Gen X is saying, "Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone." D Marie. Right, people are talking among themselves. Tracy McGregor is saying, unbelievable. The traffickers must be loving that. Saves them money and time. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if you're like one of these people traffickers and you're like, and your overheads are being paid for by the British government? What are your overheads? Oh, we don't have any. The British government send them back. Wouldn't surprise me if we paid for them. Debbie Doobs is saying, rubber dinghy rapids, innit? Debbie Doobs, again, is saying, France and the United Kingdom are part of it, but to what end? I think it's, I do. I think it's, honestly, guys, I don't want to, like, when I said this to my mum, yesterday. I said, Mum, it's come out the migrants are staying in the hotels and the government are actively working against the people of this country. And my mum was like, yeah, I know, that's all. Yeah. But like, I don't think you understand the enormity of that statement. Like, if you say that to yourself and consider the deeper ramifications of that, at government level, guys, you can do anything. At government level, laws do not matter. They don't. You break, like, do you think the government don't break laws? Do you think that they don't find a workaround to each and every law that they want to mitigate? Of course they do. Like, the government send drones into other countries to transcend people into a beam of light. If I did that, there'd be a word for it. It begin in M and it end in DER. So of course the government break laws. Now, at government level, guys, nothing is off the cards now. Nothing's off the cards. I'm going to play this from Rick Ferrari again, guys, because I think he articulates this absolutely fantastic. And then I'm going to jump onto the YouTube comments.
How dare they? How bloody dare they? A government department putting forward the idea that the need to meet the human rights of asylum seekers by housing them in hotels outweighs the safety concerns of local families. I will say it again, how bloody dare they?
But there it is, guys. There it is. The government are coming out and saying now openly that the rights of non-British citizens outweigh the rights of British citizens. Say that to yourselves, guys. Just say that to yourselves. The British government, by extension, the Home Office, by extension of the British government, are saying that the rights of non-British citizens outweigh the rights of British citizens. Just make that. But we just got to accept it, guys. We've got to accept it and look what's coming next. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we're on now. We're on. Can you guys do me a real big favor? Can you like, comment, subscribe, bell notification? If you're watching on TikTok, can you hit that follow button, guys? Can you hit that follow button? If you're watching on YouTube, can you hit the buttons down below, the follow, the like, the subscribe, bell notification, all those things, guys, all right? What I'm talking about now is what I've been warning about. I didn't think this would ever happen. I thought it would always be cloak and dagger. I thought it would always be cloak and dagger, guys. Never in my wildest dreams would I expect the British government to openly now be against its own citizens. So now nothing is off the cards, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing is off the cards. You know, crates of munitions could be smuggled in. You know, mercenaries from the east could be smuggled in. You know, literally nothing is off the cards when you're dealing with things at government level, because there's no one to audit them. Like, who audits the government? Like, there's nobody there to audit them. It all comes down to the fact, well, it doesn't come down to it. There's a lot of things, you know, comes down to subversion, guys. I'm not going to bore people with ideological subversion. 4 phases, you know, we've been destabilized. Sorry, we've been demoralized. We are being destabilized. And now we're heading into crisis. Look back through my videos, guys. I've said crisis would come this summer, and it's here. Anyway, right, I'm going to jump onto YouTube, guys. I'm going to jump onto YouTube. Wow, loads of people comment. Guys, listen, sorry, I've not got lots of comments on YouTube, guys. I'm going to work from the bottom. I will always, in the mornings, guys, I'll always prioritize the TikTok chat. Good morning, everyone on YouTube. Lone Wolf Prepper, Billy Huddlestone. What a fantastically English name. Billy Huddlestone. Right, hang on. John Tracy is saying, Louise, are women and girls being violated is the tipping point. Oh, I think he's talking to someone else. Salmon Woodman is saying, yeah, you might just body out, not done anything wrong. Hang on. Right. Salmon is saying, yes, you might just body out, not done nothing wrong. Summer of the summer depends on what they've done. I don't know what that means, Salmon Woodland. I don't know what that means. Louise is saying, we are on a knife edge and it won't take. Right. Okay. Right. So he's responding to, I'm reading the chat the wrong way. Louise is saying, we are on a knife edge. I agree. And I think we're tipping off it. It won't take a big national event to tip it. It'll be a singular local event that will push the civil divide. I mean, the civil divide's already there, isn't it? You can see the civil divide already. Yeah, I agree. Matt is saying, Sean, please ask Grok what the UK people should do with a tyrannical government. So, just real quick, Matt's saying here, what do we do with the tyrannical government? What do we do with the tyrannical government? What do we do with the tyrannical Keir Starmer? Put him in bed with Rave. No, we're not going to say that. Yeah, so what do we do with the tyrannical government? First of all, literally, guys, the Second Amendment in the US Constitution is the people's protection against a tyrannical government. People don't think that, you get a lot of liberals who don't really understand what the Second Amendment is. So the Second Amendment gives the people. I should bring it out. I've got a US Constitution in the house. And this is why people talk about constitutions. I was given the anyway. So the US Constitution, the Second Amendment in the US Constitution is everybody has the right to bear arms. I don't mean like grizzly bear arms. A well-armed militia, or it says something like a well-armed militia or something is vital for a free. Basically, without militias and without an armed population, we have no way to oppose the government. We don't have any way to oppose the government. So anyway, let me ask Grok. Matt, right, let me get Grok up. Let me get Grocky up there. I'm assuming this is going to be a vastly Elon Musk subverted answer. Right, I'm on Grok. How can How can the UK right, understand your rights, organise and mobilise collectively, exercise free speech and public advocacy, engage in civil disobedience carefully, support independent institutions, participate in democratic processes, international advocacy, stay safe and strategic. Yeah, so it's giving quite a lot of stuff there. I thought that was going to be yeah. There's a lot of information there. I can't go into that. Old money, old music, old garden, old fermentation is saying turned against one another is the only working plan. Currently, huge orchestrated mess. I agree. You know, I agree. We're in a huge orchestrated mess, and it's leading. And I believe this is leading towards. I believe this is leading towards a US takeover. Wolf is saying, so that's it then. There is no way out of this mess unless it's a war. Let's not forget, guys, the war in Ukraine is coming. Well, you know, the war in Ukraine is there. The war in Ukraine, I believe, will drag British boots on the ground in there, guys. I really do. I don't see any way. I don't see any way around that. You know, and you can imagine now. You can imagine now the mess we're going to be in. And let's just, in fact, do you know what, guys? I've literally just thought of this. But you see, I'm going back and I'm thinking of things I've thought of before and just discarded them. So, you know when you think of wild ideas and you discard them, you're like, yeah, that's never going to happen. That's too far-fetched. So here's the thing, what we've been talking about. Here's the thing, what we've been talking about, guys, okay? When all the soldiers go away to Ukraine, when all the military are like deployed in Ukraine and they're taking massive casualties, you know, and the police are going to be, I don't know, maybe the police are going to be overrun. I think they'll be overrun, absolutely. You know, what do you think's going to happen? You know, what do you think is going to happen when there's no one left? Like, how many times have you heard me say this, guys? We are going to be, I need to get a curtain up there. How many times have you heard me say this? We're going to be in a situation where the police won't protect you, but they won't let you protect yourself. That's coming, guys, you know. And I, for one, I just like the police to tap out. I just like the police to say, look, do what you want. I would. That would make more sense for me, because at least you know you can deal with the problem yourself. At least you can organize in Dunbar's number, you know, organize your communities, you know, have your own security, have your own, you know, like security patrols, look after yourselves. Because what happens now, literally, guys, and I've given this analogy, like, I've given this analogy a few times. So, like, this is literally the situation in the UK right now. You could be in the street, like, imagine a street, it's a cul-de-sac or whatever. Cull would be a good word. You can see right down the street at number 1, all right? You see a load of trucks pull up and you see people get out. The description of those people, it's up to whatever your description of those people is, all right? Those trucks pull up at number 1. You hear a load of banging and screaming and shouting, and then you hear some really loud bangs, and then the noise goes quiet. The people come out of number 1 and go to number 2. You hear the same. You're at like number 30 or something, you know. But it's taking like 5 minutes to clear these houses, you know. So you phone the police and tell me if you don't think this would happen when you phone the police. So you phone the police, you phone 999, you tell them what you think's happening, and the police say, well, can you actually confirm a crime is being committed? And you're like, well, no, I'm hearing a load of banging and screaming and shouting, and then the noise goes. Well, can you actually confirm it? Or maybe they're delivering something. You're like, no, they're dressed. Can you confirm a crime is being committed? You're like, well, no. that would happen, you know, and the police may or may not come out. Or the police may say, oh, we can't get out for, you know, because you've not confirmed a crime, we can't get out, you know, we can't get out for the next hour or whatever. Close your doors and windows and stay in your house. Oh, can I go out and meet force with force? Me and my homies at number 48 and 62, you know, can we go and stop them? Oh no, that'd be against the law. You'd be arrested if you did that. Oh, right. So should we just sit? Are we just sitting here and waiting for them to come? Yeah. Just sit there and wait. I know that's that's like a metaphor, but that's what it feels like right now. That's what it feels like on a national scale. You can see what's happening at number one, and everybody's screaming. You know, everybody's screaming. Look what's happening at number. You know, it's not even at number one now. We've seen what's happening at number one. You know, they're working their way up the street. I'm talking about metaphorically, but you know, this is what's happening to the UK. You know, and we're at a stage now where we can see what's happening to the rest of the streets, to the rest of the country, by extension. And there's nothing you can do about it, because the police won't give us the rights to defend ourselves. Do you know what? I'm going to ask Grok, what constitutional rights do we, what? Right. So I'm just going off Grok here, guys. Home defense, here's the thing. Legal aid. What? Right. Okay. Right. Sorry. That's something different. Common law right to self-defense. I think this could be used here. UK common law recognizes an inherent right to use reasonable force to defend oneself, others, or property from imminent harm. Like we need legal frameworks here, guys. You know, it's all well and good outside these hotels. This is one of the reasons I resigned from Reform. Those of you who don't know, I was standing as a candidate for Reform. And one of the things I used to say to them is, I used to say, guys, I could see what was coming. I could see what was coming. You know, and I said to the people at Reform when I was standing as a candidate for the last election, I said, forget everything. We need to work on a legal framework in this country where people can defend themselves. All right. And we need legal minds working on this, guys. All right. It's all well and good people protesting outside hotels. It's all well and good people protesting outside hotels, but we need those legal minds that can protect people, because they'll just get arrested. You lose your family, you lose your house. You know, you can't pay your bills. We need to protect people legally. We need some sort of legal protection. And here's the thing. Here's where it may come in, guys, okay? This is where it may come in. So, and if there's anybody who's like a legal expert, can you inbox me? UK common law recognises an inherent right to use reasonable force to defend oneself, others, or property from imminent harm. Now, I think there's something here, guys. This could be interpreted, if we could get this, if like, I don't know, if somebody could, if this went through the courts or something, and that imminent harm, that's the phrase there that we need to interpret. This principle dates back centuries and is a fundamental aspect of individual liberty. You see, I could argue, like you could argue, that if your kids are in imminent harm, then you can, you know, if your kids are, you know, are in imminent harm, you have the right to self-defense. Now, David Cameron opened this precedence in, I can't remember what year it was. I want to say maybe 2015 or something, where he ordered a drone strike on those Welsh jihadis. And he said that was self-defense because they were they were going to commit imminent harm on people in the United Kingdom at some point. So the legal precedence for that preemptive strike on a collateral level is open. It's there, guys. You know, it's open. Interesting. Anyway, guys, let me jump on the comments. Sorry, guys. I was just. You've listen, ladies and gentlemen. The crux of this live stream. You've got to come now to the sober reality, the sobering, absolute sobering reality. You know that the British government is working against its own people. I want to see a defense against that, guys. You know, I really do want to see a defense against that. And the reason I'm saying that is because the rights of non-British citizens outweigh the rights of British citizens in Britain. We're not talking about an international court. We're talking about the British government are claiming, by extension, it's true, because they're the government. So the government are claiming that the rights of non-British citizens outweigh the rights of British citizens. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, guys. I'd love somebody to tell me I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Pretty sure I'm not. And I'm usually not wrong. Sorry, guys. I think I missed some comments. Gemini Blessing, Timsky saying morning. Linda Lou is saying, are the Americans VIPs? I think they think they're VIPs. April Lee saying, morning. All Demon Gen X is saying, morning. April Lee saying, I feel like I'm part of the Raven Daily Club. And thank you, April Lee. Snowdrops is saying, yeah, then wait till they need British boys and men go fight the Ukraine. No, well. I think they will, guys. You know, I don't know. There's certainly some strange things happening. Look, guys, I'm still open. I'm still open for these migrants to be used as an army and sent to Ukraine. I'm still open to that. I mean, you know, we talk about Keir Starmer and how he's, you know, people are talking about how he's done at the next election. Just tell me this, guys. Riddle me this, right? Can you imagine now if, like, Keir Starmer, just bear with me, guys, bear with me, right? I'm going to set the scene. If you guys think this is wildly unbelievable, that's fine. But I can guarantee it's more believable now than it was 10 weeks ago. War in Ukraine. As we know, as I've been documenting, the Russians are moving forward daily. It was only this last week, the Russians finally made Russian boots on the ground now in central Ukraine. So you can see that, you know, that drive from Russia's not stopping. British troops get involved. How likely do you think that is? I believe it's an inevitability. At that point, how would you feel the ratings of Keir Starmer would be if Keir Starmer comes out, he says, right, we're stopping the boats. He puts the, you know what, he wouldn't even have to stop the boats. Hear me out. You know, he puts the Navy on the skirmish line and he says, yeah, no more boats, no more migrants. Keir Starmer then starts to round up all the migrants and send them out to Ukraine as a conscript army. You know, and we see this en masse. You know, all these hotels are getting closed, and they're going out, and you know they're fighting. And then Keir Starmer comes up and he says, "Look, you know, it was all part. You know, we had to do this. I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry everything's happened. I didn't want British soldiers being used as a conscript military. We knew we were going to have to get these people in to fight the Russians. You know, like, how would his approval rating go? Do you think? You know." Like, you know, so, you know, we shouldn't you shouldn't count off Labour because there's a long time before the next election. And you know what, guys, I'm not ruling anything out right now. All I'm saying is it does appear, and I don't know right now with the information I've got, I don't know how I can argue that the British government is not working against its own people. And when you say that to yourself, it's a terrifying aspect because everything becomes like nothing becomes too far-fetched then. Are they secretly bringing in foreign soldiers? Yes. You know, we know this. It broke the news broke. Are they bringing in crates of munitions and hiding them in hotels? I think it's unlikely, but you can't take that off the cards. You can't take it off the cards now because we know that this has got government involvement at the highest level. Like realistically, guys, if you've worked on like a building site, or if you're in a hotel or something, and there's like one of those metal storage containers on the like in the hotel or something, and there's like 3 or 4 of them, and the hotel staff put tables and chairs in 2 of them, and the other ones are locked, and somebody from the Foreign Office has got the key. Like nobody pay you. You won't pay. You won't look twice at that. You won't look twice at that. The hotel itself's got security, so nobody's going to go there. You know, it's got non-English speaking security, so nobody goes there. People think naturally that all those containers have got like tables or chairs or stuff that they brought out of the hotel before the Home Office moved in. So naturally, that is where you would keep it if it is happening. And I do still think it's unlikely, but I'm not ruling anything out, guys. Linda Lou is saying, I wouldn't phone the police. I would be in the car and gone. Sorry, guys. Let me swizzle this on the screen. It says I'm being inactive. Yes, right. Linda Lou is saying, I wouldn't phone the police. I'd get in my car and I would be off. So Linda Lou, if you remember the scenario, Linda Lou, I said you're on a cul-de-sac, all right? So there's only one way in, and the bad guys are at that end, and they're moving down slowly. You can't get out. Debbie Doo is saying preemptive strike. Let me find this, guys. Let me find this because I'm not going to go into that, guys. So I'm on an hour already. And I need to go. And I've got loads of rubbish. I've been clearing out the house, and I need to take it to the dump it site. Yeah, do you know what? I take stuff to the dump it site. I don't just throw it on the road. Natalie is saying my husband called it card alpha. So we need like. What I'm getting at here, guys, is the inherent right to self-defense. That needs to be interpreted in the aspect of hotels. And I do think somebody like Elon Musk is going to fund this. I've said it a long time. You know, that is like the, and I think UK common law recognizes the inherent right to use reasonable force to defend oneself or property from imminent harm. Now, this involves what is it called? A first strike, basically, as part of self-defense. So I think this needs to be these laws need to be interpreted. Because people are getting arrested, guys. People are getting arrested. And people are doing jail time for shouting at dogs. April Lee is saying, does everyone have somewhere to go if there is an incident in their area? Good question, April. Does everybody have like a bug out location to go to? D-Marie Gen X is saying, I'm terrified we're getting turned into a sanctuary city here and a smart city. Yeah, we are. We get, and like, I don't know if you've noticed, guys, but all these new housing developments, that go up, they only have one road in and out, and that's very easy to control. Snowdrops are saying, well, yes, they can use the migrants as they come before British people so use them. Yeah, maybe they do. Yeah, maybe that's what they'll say. They'll say, well, we're not going to send our second-class citizens to fight the war. We'll send the first-class citizens. And then Debbie Dewey said, maybe they're bringing migrant men in to replace our men when they are off fighting the war. And that's just a total destruction. That is a culture death. That will be gone, absolutely gone. Migrants won't fight for their own country. They won't fight for the UK. So just I'm gonna talk real quick on tactics. the front line in Ukraine is huge. It's literally like nothing since the Second World War, guys. You know, people are trying to like, and this is what a lot of problems have been with UK military, colonels, generals. They're thinking, because they've just come back from Afghanistan and Iraq, they're thinking it's not. You literally have a huge front line, and it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible to man the whole front line. So what the Russians are doing, they're just filling that. They've got like their front line is just filled with conscripts, just absolutely saturated with conscripts. Now, it's not the conscripts' job to fight or to to push forward. It's literally the conscripts' job to slow down by transcending themselves to a beam of light, to slow down any enemy advance. So now, very cheap, doesn't cost much, because these guys are pillaging their way through the country. Like, it doesn't cost much, and you've got some sort of a barrier. And then what they're doing is they're Spetsnaz, they're paid units, they're professional soldiers. They're the ones who are surging forwards. They're the ones who are making these offensive movements. Now, how many times have I said this, guys? The way NATO is set up at the moment, for many, many reasons, guys, I don't want to go into it now. I've done like lots of deep dives into this. For many, many reasons, NATO don't, unless NATO do that, what I've just said, without the United States, it's not a NATO win, guys. All right. So what you would do is with these low-paid conscripts, you would just push them to the front line and say, right, you come back this way. It's certain, you're certainly not going home. You stay in that area. You do what we tell you. You might come home and you might get a British passport. That's how you would use it. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, guys. It's absolutely brutal. All wars are brutal, And this is what people don't understand, You get people waving for war, and people, oh, we'll go to war with these guys. You don't understand what it takes to win a war. The Israelis understand. They do. You can, it's disgusting. What you have to do to win a war is disgusting. But there's two things. You should always, always avoid a war. I mean, a real war. Not like Afghanistan and Iraq. They were like special forces operations, literally special forces operations, where you use small groups, 100 or less, to take out key elements. And that's all you need to do. Helicopter landing, tactical air landings, aerosol, all that sort of stuff. You can do that really easy. What we've got right now is a scenario where we are facing a war like we've not seen since like since World War II, and the numbers that we need, we don't have the numbers. So I've said that many times, guys. Right, we're not set up for a win right now. We're not. If NATO can use migrants as a conscript army, there could be a win. Snowdrops is saying Elon is telling everyone to join advance and to fight for their country. Time is now, he said. Yeah. Can you remember, can you guys remember when I was talking about this? I actually said if Elon Musk starts telling people to do stuff in the UK, what's going to happen to the UK? Again, look, guys, I understand subversion, and this is all part of the UK becoming the United States, and I do welcome it. I do welcome it. April Lee is saying that's what Russia is doing, using other soldiers. Yeah, I heard some. I shouldn't laugh. So I heard a story about. I think there was some Africans, right? They got told that they got told that they'd get jobs as a chef in Russia, as a cook in Russia. They flew them over, and now they're on the front line. So yeah, that's I don't know how credible that story is. we're just talking here about Ben Habib's bar. Hang on, guys, I'm just coming down. Would you vote for Ben Habib's party, Sean? Well, we don't have a vote until a very long time. The first, do you know what? I don't know. The first thing we need is we need a legal framework. We need a legal framework where we can defend ourselves, because I don't know what the self-defense laws are. I don't like. I think there's an argument here under common law that you can protect yourself, preemptive strike, that you can protect yourself from harm, from imminent harm. Now, if you feel you're in imminent harm, you can make a preemptive strike. That is the law in the UK, right? That's the law in the UK. Now, that needs to be interpreted so people understand what can be interpreted as imminent harm. You know, migrants sat outside schools watching kids. Is that imminent harm? I don't know. You know, so we need to understand and identify what imminent harm means. Guys, I'm a bit of a nerd with wording and terminology, but these are the important things. All right, everybody wants to see the flag waving, but like ultimately, you need a legal foundation and legal interpretation, and then the law says you can use a preemptive strike. Now, in the case of David Cameron, when he took out the jihadis in Syria, that was a drone strike on a couple of Welsh guys in Syria. And he was claiming self-defense law. Anyway, so Silly over on YouTube just says, in Israel, our IDF is us, all of us, and our families and children. Yeah, so everybody, I think in Israel, everybody has to do is it a minimum of, I think everybody has to do a minimum of 2 years in the military. I think that's it. My own son is a combat fighter, and I know and believe that the IDF is the most moral army in history. In the nutsy reality of war. Guys, look, I will say this again, all right? Like, there's wars and rumors of wars. There is. You should always, and people don't understand what it takes to win a war. Like, I could argue that nobody won. I could argue, like, you could argue that the 20 years in Afghanistan, that the 20 years in Afghanistan didn't win because people got woke. People were woke. Like, to win a war, you need to go full Genghis Khan. You really do, guys, right? You really need to go Genghis Khan, because if you again, look, guys, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. You should avoid wars at all costs. But if you're in a war, you need to win it at all costs. I don't think that's like, I don't think if you're in a war, you should say, yeah, well, am I okay to win? You can't say that to your enemy. You can't ask the enemy if it's okay to win, because they're trying to win you. So it doesn't work. You have to win. And to win a war, you have to destroy the enemy so much that there's no chance of them coming back. That's not what we did in Afghanistan. We actually empowered, you know, I could say the US actually empowered the Taliban to come back. You know, leaving the munitions, leaving the weapons, leaving the infrastructure. So if you're in a war, guys, you know, a real war like what I see coming in Europe, it's going to be brutal. And you're going to have to do things, and you're going to have, like, to win a war, it's brutal. You have to make sure that those bad guys who you're winning, who you're fighting, once you've beaten them, you've got to make sure they're never going to come back. Otherwise, you have the same problem again. And then what happens then is all the losses you've sustained winning that war, it's for nothing. It's like, oh, we might as well not bothered. There's a town called Musakala in Afghanistan. I know a lot of the three-para guys who defended Musakala, and like a lot of them transcended to beams of light for taking and holding Musakala. When the Royal Marines took over, they just gave it back. It was like, yeah, we don't need that. Take two. They looked, and this is a true story. The Royal Marines looked at the statistics, at the casualties that three-para battle group had taken, and they were like, yeah, we don't need that casualty rate. We're going to give that town back. What actually happened? They gave those towns back, and they had a softer approach. This is true, guys. They had a softer approach in Musakala. Sorry, they had a softer approach in that area, and they didn't want to go out on fighting patrols. What actually happened was the Taliban got freedom of movement. They got closer. Because they had freedom of movement, they could put up attacks, basically. They could do attacks. And they actually lost more people. When you're on the defensive, guys, it's worse being on the defensive. It's always worse being on the defensive. You take more casualties on the defensive. So a life lesson, be on the aggressive side. Debbie Doobs is saying, look how quickly Reform built as a party. Advance have a few years to build. Go Advance UK. I think it's the whole political system, guys. The whole political system's broken. It's absolutely broken. I don't know. I may be interested in a candidacy for Advance. If I speak to the people at Advance, and if those people at Advance get my seal of approval, I'll be honest, guys, really will. If I speak to the people at Advance UK, and I get a good feel back from them, and they listen to what I'm saying, I may stand at the next election for them. I don't know. We'll see how things pan out. There's a long way before the next election. April Lee is saying, years ago, a Kurdish man broke into my in-laws' house, and my husband found him. He had something that you eat with dinner with, and it's not a spoon or it's not a spoon or a fork. Tracy McGregor is saying, bunch of kids moved the stones from the cross and made the Star of David. This is how riots start. I don't know what that, Tracy McGregor, I don't know what that means. April Lee is saying, him through the window, he was warned 3 times. The man got away with burglary. It is, guys, like we're in a situation where the police are not going to help us, but they won't let us help ourselves. Unbelievable, guys. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play this again because like every time I listen to it, I'm going to play Nick Ferrari here, guys, because he is articulating perfectly the thoughts of the nation right now.
How dare they? How bloody dare they? A government department putting forward the idea that the need to meet the human rights of asylum seekers by housing them in hotels outweighs the safety concerns of local families. I will say it again, how bloody dare they?
So, ladies and gentlemen, the crux of this live stream is the government in the UK. It's very difficult to argue. It's very difficult to go outside of this thought process. Now, the government of the United Kingdom are claiming, and you guys know this is all over the media, but the government in the United Kingdom are claiming the rights of non-UK citizens out in the UK. The British government are saying that in Britain, because it doesn't make sense. In Britain, the British government say that the rights of non-British citizens outweigh the rights of British citizens. And if you say that to yourself, you kind of go down a dark rabbit hole, guys. You know, you go down an absolutely dark rabbit hole. And then you start to think, right, government complicit, the government are bringing this in, you know, like, so nothing's off the cards there, guys. Like, literally nothing is off the cards. So Debbie Doobs is saying, so why aren't these Afghan soldiers fighting in Afghan and not coming here? Look, I got into a lot of trouble and I got my live stream blocked when I talked about Afghan soldiers. All right. So I'm not going to talk about them on here, Debbie Doobs. I will answer that question in a minute when I jump over to YouTube. But I've trained lots of Afghan soldiers. I have. So when I give my opinion on Afghan soldiers, nobody can argue with me. Like, nobody. Like, you know, we might get, you know, Karen might come up in capital letters and say, no, you're wrong because I want. No, stop, Karen. All right. If there's anyone, Karen, I don't mean any disrespect. So I gave my opinion on Afghan soldiers and I got my live stream blocked. So I'll jump over to YouTube in a minute and we'll talk about that. Snowdrops is saying that's crazy. Yeah, it was. People were angry. Rupert has said the same as you, that it needs changing. Yeah, it's the whole political system, guys, that needs changing. Like, just think about like the reason why Rupert Lowe, and so the reason why Rupert Lowe has not buckled the knee, has not bent his back, is first of all, he's British and he loves his country. Second of all, he's financially independent. So because he's financially independent, somebody can't come up to him and say, Rupert, if you do this, I'll get you a nice flat in Hove. I don't know. So like nobody can come up to Rupert Lowe, I'm sure they have, and say, hey, Rupert, you know, if you just signed this document here or said this or didn't say this, I'll get you a nice little flat in Hove. And I don't know if that's happening. Any revelations that you may or may not have between standing members of Parliament, guys, that is on you. So that's why Rupert Lowe isn't getting corrupted, because he's financially independent. Now, then the argument is, if you fill government with financially independent people, they have their own agenda. So it's a massive, you know, it's a massive problem. But the system we have now, and look, guys, I think, and again, this is one of the ideas I floated at Reform. We need to pay politicians more. Yeah, I said it. I did. Raven said it, right? And what I mean by that is, I don't mean we just give them more money. I mean, you know, when you pay your council tax, like every month or whenever it comes out, rather than all that money just going to the council, like a tiny proportion of that money, you pay your local MP. And you, me, I get to choose whether I pay my MP that month or not. So, I don't know, on an app on your phone or something, or via text message, text yes for pay or no for no, like you get the constituents who voted for that politician get to choose whether he gets paid or she. So now you have a scenario where politicians, if they waffle through their election, right, and then get into power and say, cheers, lads, you know, they don't get paid. They get no money. On the flip side of that, if they do a sterling job, if they do fantastic, they get paid more. They get paid tons. They get paid a lot of money. So then you have the scenario where the politicians are working really hard for their constituents because their constituents are paying them. Otherwise, I don't see another way around it, guys. I don't see another way around it. Like, can you imagine now, right, the difference in our politicians if you had really competent people who were fighting and competing for that job? You had politicians who were coming out in their communities because they were getting paid more money by their communities. And it's not going to cost us any more money. We don't need a new board of directors or a think tank. Right, Raven, I run for office, and I say, right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put 2 new buses on per week in this location. I'm going to close all the hotels down, and I'm going to reinvest in local economies. If I get in Parliament and I'm like, not doing anything, I'm not doing nothing now. Yeah, keep paying me. And people see me not doing anything. I don't get paid. I don't get paid. Same scenario, right? I want the new buses. I want to close the hotels, and I want to invest in the local economy. I'm then out on the streets every day, pushing, grinding, making that happen. And you guys, my constituents, you're seeing the good job I'm doing. You're seeing the change in the community, that you voted for me because I said I would do that. And I'm getting rewarded financially. So I'm working harder. That's the system that we should have. That's what I tried to float with reform. I got shunned. People wasn't listening. There was like, oh, we're not listening to, and I got shunned out the room. I'm right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm always right. Sorry, guys. Let me just jump down and get these comments. Debbie Doo is saying, we had a good Conservative MP. Now we have had a Labour MP. Never seen him. I don't know where. I don't know where you are. Tracy McGregor is saying, in Wales. I don't know what that means, Tracy McGregor. In Wales. April Lee is saying, where are we all from so we can update what's happening in different towns? Debbie Doobs is saying she's from Rotherham here. So in Rotherham, who's your MP in Rotherham? DeMarie Gen X is saying, I see independent parties are also at risk to lobbyists. Yeah. We need to remove that. Well, look, guys, so DeMarie Gen X here is saying these lobbyists, right? You get rid of all this. You get rid of all these lobbyists. You get rid of all the corruption if you do what I said. If you do what I said, you can't lobby these politicians, because what are you going to do? You're going to lobby a politician to pass a bill, and it may or may not get passed. And if it gets passed, his constituents are not going to pay him because that's not what they want. So it makes no sense, the lobbying. That politician will be able to earn more money by doing a good job. And, and that's what we need to do. We need to pay our politicians more, because honestly, guys, like, they don't get paid much. I've had jobs and I've been paid more than the Prime Minister, So they don't get paid much for what they do. And I know it's a lot, and I know what people are thinking, but can you imagine, right, if that was how you get, and it's not going to cost anybody anymore. It's not going to cost anybody any more money. It's literally going to be from your council tax that you already pay. Can you imagine, though, right, the difference in competency of people that would be running for these jobs? Can you imagine the difference? Like Diane Abbott, like David Lammy? Can you imagine if this job could, if that job would net them a lot of money? You get more people competing for that role. You get more interest in it. You get more people involved. Just so two sides here is saying money is the root of all evil. Actually, the love of money is the root of all evil. But look, I totally get it. It's different. People think, we shouldn't pay our politicians. But like, if you don't pay people, you get Diane Abbott. Like, that's what happens. If you don't pay people, they're going to go to the private industry. They're going to go to the private sector. That's what happens, and then you get puppets. April Lee saying, Sean, we have a safeguard training on the first day back. I will update you. Yeah, it's crazy, guys. All these lockdowns and everything. Kids have inset day first day back. Wonder what that inset day is for. DeMarie is saying it's a savvy idea, Sean. Agreed. Debbie Doo is saying Jake Richards. I don't know what that means. Tracy McGregor is saying, I was saying about the cross being made into a right, okay, yeah, in Wales. I don't know anything about that. I mean, kids do mess about, but I do think that's disrespectful, yeah. D. Marie Gen X is saying, from a place called, all right, she's right, people just saying where they live. Right, ladies and gentlemen. And D. Marie, sorry, Debbie Doobs is saying her MP is Jake Richards. He's a Labour MP and nobody knew that. But this is the problem, guys. This is the problem with politics, right? Do you know what? I think later on today, guys, in fact, tonight's live stream, tonight's live stream, I think I'll explore that a little bit further and say, because that would fix all these problems. It would fix all these. Can you imagine whoever's the EPIN member of parliament right now? Can you imagine if he just had his money gone, or she, whoever that EPIN MP is, and they're saying, "Oh, we're going to do this. Don't worry, I'm standing by you. I'll do what you say." If the people are like, "Yeah, we're not paying you anymore, idiot," they're going to be running around and they're about flapping like a pigeon falling from a skyscraper. No, flapping like a chicken falling from a skyscraper. They're going to be flapping. So that's the reality, guys. That's how we need to change the system. I floated this to reform. I want to say 28, maybe 20, years ago, guys. But years ago, I floated this to reform, scoffed out the window. I also floated to reform. I was saying, look, we need self-defense laws. We need a legal system. We need a legal framework where the people of the United Kingdom can defend themselves against a tyrannical government. And people say, oh, sure, we are voting for that. Yeah. How's that working out? How's the voting working out for everyone? Do you feel your vote counts? I don't know. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now on TikTok. I've been on for quite a while, haven't I? I'm going to close this down now on TikTok. The crux of this video right now is the UK is in crisis. I don't think people are ready for what's coming next. It's very clear now to everybody who's been paying attention. And if you say this to yourself, it takes you down a dark path. The government in the United Kingdom are claiming that I've got to say this, I have to pinch myself. So the government in the United Kingdom are claiming that the rights of non-UK citizens outweigh the rights of UK citizens in the UK. I don't think you can make that make sense, guys. I don't think you can. I really don't think you can make that make sense. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, I am going to jump over to YouTube now. I'm going to jump over to YouTube. I'll be on YouTube. We'll be talking about what's happening over on YouTube, and then I will be back on later today. Right, I'm going to close this down now. And if you've not joined me on YouTube, get yourselves over. I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube. I'm the Real Raven 1 on X and also TikTok. And we are off. We are off. Right, my sister's just phoned me. Kush T is saying, most of the population has been saying such things for a long time, maybe 20 years, mate. Kush T, I don't, in response to what? Because I kind of been talking, are we talking about the political system, or are we talking about the British government working against its people? Yeah, I've been saying quite a lot there. John is saying that is actually a brilliant idea. What they promised they would have to do. Yes, exactly. How you cut their own funding. I was putting this idea out there, guys. Okay, nobody was listening. I was talking to people at Reform. They were scoffing because. And again, guys, I'm not going to get into it. But I was standing as a candidate at the last election for his Reform. I resigned because of the way that Reform's going now. People are talking about, Advance UK, Ben Habib's party. I don't know where we're going with all this, guys. But I'm not convinced in voting. I'm not convinced because it's the political system. And my solution My solution to the political system is you need to pay people more. And I know that sounds controversial, but, you know, if we have a system whereby Raven, I'm standing for election and I say I'm going to close all the hotels. I'm going to close all the hotels. I'm going to give I'm not going to raise council tax, and I'm going to put 2 more bus routes in. Whatever. If I then get elected and do absolutely nothing, guess what? I don't get paid. But you know what? If when I get elected, straight away the hotels get closed, you know, I'm keeping people informed. I'm running around all over the place. I'm here, I'm doing this, I'm there, social media here, interviews there, closing this down. I'm there with a banner. You know, it's like, yeah, Raven's our guy. Yeah, we need to, yeah, I'm definitely paying him this month. He's doing a really good job. I get paid more. That's how it should work, guys. That is how it should work. Oh, but people are just going to be doing it for money. You think the system's working right now? You think is the system working for you right now? Yeah, but you can't have people doing stuff. Trust me, money is a motivator. Kind of doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. Right. Raven didn't really want to close that hotel down, but he had to close it down because he said he was going to, and we're not going to pay him otherwise. Kind of doesn't matter. You control the purse strings. You control the person. Look into Lord Ali. Crush T is saying the government treating, so Crush T, so I said this to mum, so that, I don't know if you're just joining. So I said, like, earlier on in this live stream, I said this to my mum. I phoned my mum up last night. I said, yeah, mum, court ruling. The court ruling in Epping, you know, they're keeping the hotel open, and, you know, it's official now. It's official. And my mum said the same as you. Yeah, we know that. It's always been happening. And I get it, you know, but what I'm talking about now is this is official. This is like legal, you know. The government are saying that the rights of non-British citizens outweigh the rights of British citizens. Like, there's no denying it now. And that opens up. So all those conspiracies and all those fringe ideas, that gives them legitimate weight now. This opens up a whole can of worms, guys. It really does. Linda says, Sean, you should go into politics. We need a mind like yours in there. I feel like I feel like I'm better suited to like a Dunedain character. Simone Elliman is saying, if things are going to carry on the way they are, civil war is inevitable. Then we will see US troops in Britain. I agree, Simone. And when I floated this idea about a US takeover, like years ago, literally years ago, I was floating this about a US takeover. I was getting scoffed out the room. Nobody was listening to me. But how does that feel now? You know, and I'm also there's going to be the mass exodus to Antarctica as well. That will come, but that's in a while. And I don't think I'd have a good job in government, guys, because I'd want to talk. You know what, guys? I wouldn't get a job in government because I'd be like, yeah, cheers, guys. We need to deal with these crop circles. If I was in government, all right, one of my personal drives would be to solve the mystery of crop circles. I would. I would solve that crop circle shit. Sorry, guys, I swore again. I would solve the mystery of crop circles. Do you know what? I can't say I would solve it. I would make it my mission to try and solve the mystery of crop circles. It may not be, you know, it may be one of those things you can't solve. Daniel Collinson is saying tinfoil nutter. I don't know, Daniel. Are you giving me like cooking instructions there to put nuts in tin foils? What's a tinfoil nutter, Daniel? Daniel, here's a question. I'm going to blow your mind, mate. I'm going to blow Daniel's question. I'm going to blow Daniel's little mind right now. Daniel, what are crop circles? And don't tell me it's some guys with a rope and a board. All right. So what are crop circles, Daniel? How do they get there? And why is nobody investigating them? I've just blown your mind for the next 6 years. Eddie James is saying they are ethnically cleansing the British trash. I don't know what that means, Eddie, but I really don't know what that means, but I kind of don't like your tone. What do you mean British trash? Are you talking about something like in Birmingham? Like, are you talking about like the British trash that live in Birmingham? I don't know. What are you talking about there? DBE Gen X is saying, what was the eureka moment when you said to yourself, USA is going to be a takeover by 2030? It was a lot of things. It was a lot of very small things. I could see what was coming. I understand ideological subversion. And I was thinking about the moon landing as well. I was thinking about the moon landing. And I put all that together in a very peculiar way. And I just said, I was like, right, I can genuinely see now a direction for a US takeover. I was looking at the war in Ukraine. I was looking at the vast inadequacies of NATO as it is now without the United States. And I was just playing it out in my head how it would happen. That's no trinket you carry, Mr. Underhill. Tracy Doll is saying you need to keep them in hotels. You know where? Yeah, Tracy. Like, you know, if we don't stop the flow of people coming into this country, it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. Linda is saying, wow, that's a statement to make. What statement did I make? What statement was I making, Linda? Was I talking about the what is in how I came to the realization that Britain will be part of the United States? Hammond Eggs is saying first they came for the British trash, Eddie. I don't know what's going on here, guys. I think you guys are talking in code or something, and maybe I'm not young enough to understand what the code you guys are talking about. I think I need somebody to spell it out for me. I think I'm totally missing. I think I'm totally missing what's going on here. Insidious Inflation is saying they shouldn't be kept in hotels, but in camps with security, so they can't do any harm to the British public. I mean, first of all, I think that the problem starts at source. The problem starts at source. So as well, more people are coming. It's not gonna get any better. It's literally just gonna get worse. Right. Stunt Rock Confusion is saying we're understanding just fine, but this is so daft. I don't know, guys. I don't know what's daft. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Maybe I have missed the trick. I'm going to give you the rundown of what's been happening, and then I will be closing this one down as well, guys. Okay. So I believe Britain is in a crisis phase now. If you guys have watched my other videos on subversion, the 4 phases. You've got demoralization, destabilization. I believe we're moving into the crisis phase right now. I believe that crisis phase is going to be there to usher in. I believe that crisis phase is going to be there to usher in a US takeover of the United Kingdom. It's unbelievable what's happening now, guys. I don't think anybody's in denial about this. The government, I can't believe I'm saying this because this opens up so many rabbit holes that people are not even thinking about yet. So the government are claiming that the rights of Again, every time I say it, I need to check myself. So the government are claiming the rights of asylum seekers outweigh the rights of the rights of non-British citizens, because that's what they are. They're non-British citizens, outweigh the rights of British citizens in Britain. I don't know any other countries where you could roll like that, but it is. I'll just get these last questions, guys. Rachel McClelland is saying, does anyone else fear a lockdown? Yeah, oh, and there's cases of the disease going. Yeah, I think a lockdown would be a good way. Excuse me. A civil lockdown, a civil emergency, would be a good way to stop people going out on the streets. I don't think it matters because what's done now, the critical mass has been achieved. Stormreich saying Britain is in crisis indeed, but because of, I think that's what I mean, but because of Brexit and daft racism posturing as patriotism. What do you mean by that? Like, what do you actually mean by, like, how did, like, okay, so I would argue that we never really had a Brexit. We never really Jeez, that was windy. I would argue that we never really left the European Union. We never really left the shackles of the European project. We never really had the chance to make our own laws. I don't know what you mean by daft racism. Like, am I, like, I don't know. Stunt rock confusion. Am I racist? Am I racist because I don't want my girls getting attacked? Am I racist? If you're, like, are you happy? Like, would you be happy with your girls getting raped and you're not racist? I don't know. Like, are you happy going, like, am I racist because I want to go to the beach and not have to worry about the girls getting taken? Does that make me racist? I don't know. Please, can you let me know, Stunt Rock, what you mean about racist? With respect. Daniel Collinson on here is saying 0.4 of government spending is on migrant hotels. It's fuck all. If you have an open mind, watch Gary's Economics. It's billionaire corporates who are making. No, I agree. Daniel Collinson, I actually agree with you, mate. I actually agree with you. You're right, 100%. If you've watched my channel, you know, one of the things I literally always say, it's, I would actually go, I don't know who Gary is and his economics, but in response to what you're saying, 0.4% of, and this is how an intelligent person argues, right? I'm clearly an intelligent person. I'm Daniel, I'll say I don't know you, but I'll say I'm vastly more intelligent. Vastly. I'll read you his comment and then I'll respond to it. 0.4% of government spending is on migrant hotels. That's still kind of a lot. It's fuck all. If you have an open mind, which I do, watch Gary's Economics, full stop. So I don't, but I understand what you're saying. It's billionaire corporations who are making us poorer. I'll debate anyone on this. No, actually, Daniel, I'm actually agreeing with you. One thing, I would actually go one step further than that. And I would say it's international corporations that are making us poorer. Because what they do, and I don't know if Gary's Economics says this, you know, they come into the, like, and again, I don't mean to, I've said this quite a few times if you've been watching the channel, Daniel. Say that you invest, I don't know, say that you're an investor, international investor, and you want to come into the United Kingdom and you want to invest in the British, in the British water, because British water is all privatized now. So you invest 5 million, 5 billion, it doesn't matter. And I'm using simple figures so everybody can understand. And I'm not meaning to downplay anyone, but it's Raven maths. So you invest 5 million. Most investors will want a return on that investment within 5 years. So easy to work out. Year 1, they get 1 million. Year 2, they get 1 million. Year 3, they get 1 million. You see where I'm going? Year 5, their investment is paid off. So guess what happens year 6? That is wealth extraction. That money leaves the United Kingdom, doesn't go back into infrastructure because it's profit. It goes as, you know, it goes into an offshore account somewhere. I've always said, rather than giving millions away to foreign investment, you know, to foreign companies, rather than giving millions away in foreign aid, I would have £1 million for every constituency in the United Kingdom. When kids leave college, so like at 18 or something, if they want to start a business, I will fund you. Obviously, you have to tender for the money. I would fund I would fund one, or maybe that £1 million would get spent in that constituency. You don't really want to fund more than 3 because you want to have a good potent scope. Those companies, then you start funding local companies. You start funding local kids to build their own businesses. And because they're local, guess what happens? That money that they're making, any money in profit, then gets spent in the local economy. And then those people around that area flourish. That money isn't leaving our country. That's how you grow an economy. You do not grow an economy by opening the doors to international investors. That is the worst thing you can do. So I don't know if that's what Gary's economics is. I don't know if that's what Gary's economics. Right, the chat's going crackers. Right, hang on, guys. This chat's going crackers here. Let me right. Right, Stunt Rocks. I'm not called Stunt Rocks. You're being quite polite in your responses, you know, so far. Let me get this, because this chat's going crackers. Hang on. Right. Right, I'm trying to get this right. Right, okay. So Stunt Rocks is saying, you want to protect your daughter, then let's give respect to the people who come here and not treat them like animals and scapegoats. They come because we wrecked their local economies for centuries. Right. It's very difficult to argue on this with this person because, like, and I mean, no disrespect, Stunt Rocks. I'd like to talk to you one-on-one. It's very difficult for me to do this on. It's very difficult to do this on messages, right? So first of all, I've spent like a lot of time in the Middle East. I can pretty much guarantee more than you. I know the culture that these people are coming from. So Stunt Rocks, I hope you're still on. I hope you're still on, Stunt Rocks. I really hope you're still on. So Stunt Rocks, here's the thing. Do you know what? And guys, if you're a regular on this channel, you know where I'm going with this. So Stunt Rocks, I've got a little question for you. And please, Stunt Rocks, I'm being polite. So try and be polite with me. I will change your mind and I'll bring you into the light. So right, Stunt Rocks, have you seen ever a stoning? Stonings are legal in many parts of the Middle East and Muslim countries, right? That is real. A stoning happens. While I'm on YouTube, I can explain a little bit more. So, like, if you're a woman in the Middle East and you do something wrong, like, I don't know, like, I'm not going to go into that, but the punishment for very peculiar things is a woman is buried into the sand, okay, up to there. And the men from the village will throw stones at her until she passes. That's what happens. So, Stunt Rocks, let me ask you this, all right? Do you think it's possible that anyone just one person now, do you think it's possible that one person that's attended one of those stonings has made it back to the UK, has made it to the UK? Just one person. Do you believe that could have happened? Right? Do you think there's a chance? I would say there's a good chance that that's happened. Now, so there you go. So let's go one further. There's no age limit to go to these stonings. So if you're a 10-year-old boy, you can go to a stoning with your dad. You know, what we're doing this weekend, Dad? Oh, we're going to go to this stoning. Oh, yeah. And you can throw stones at that woman. 10-year-old boys can throw stones at that woman. Can you imagine that 10-year-old boy? He goes to his first stoning when he's 10. Then you know what? He goes to his second stoning when he's 12. He goes to his third stoning when he's 13, and he kind of likes it now. He's throwing bigger stones, and he's going right up to the woman, and he's standing up, and he's throwing those big paving slabs on that. You know, he's throwing those big paving slabs until that lady transcends, and you know, and that's the punishment. That's legal in that country. What do you think that person's opinion of women is? And how do you think that person would be allowed, and how do you think he thinks he can treat women? Bear in mind, that's him growing up. So where you're saying you want to protect your daughter, let's give respect to the people who come here. So first of all, I'm not going to give respect to any backward nation that throw rocks at women's heads until they transcend to beams of light. So that's the first thing, right? I'm not doing that, all right? Right? If they want respect, if people want respect, don't throw stones at women's head until they transcend to beams of light. I think I'm fair saying that, and I think a good percentage of the world, the civilized world, would agree with me. So I do, you know, they came because we wrecked their local economies for centuries. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means. Like, I don't know what that means. Like, what are you talking about? Like, Pakistan, India, go and look at the architecture that was built when Pakistan and India were under British control. Go and look at the stuff we built in those countries, and then look at the crap they build now. So I don't take that at all. I don't take that at all that, you know, Britain wrecked their economies. But anyway, guys, I do understand this chat's getting pretty heated. So I'm going to jump down. Right, Stunrocks is saying, if you are saying that, what are you describing? What you are describing is mainstream in the main sources of immigration to our country. I will say that is not honest. Right, with respect, Stunrocks, I can't. Yeah, I with respect, and I mean no disrespect to you. You don't know what you're talking about. You've not experienced the world that I have. You've not experienced these places in real time. You've not been there. And I, you know, and look, you know, I can't. It's very difficult for me to argue with you, Stunrocks, because you're not sticking on one point. You're not sticking on one point. I'm telling you something, I'm arguing against it, and then you're going on another thing, and then I have to take time to argue against you. So it's very difficult. If you want to come on a live stream and have a one-on-one discussion, I'm totally happy with that. Daniel Collision saying, I'm surprised you haven't heard of Gary Stevenson. This is the Gary's Economics I'm talking about. He was the world's most successful. I've never heard of him. He knows what he's talking about. Daniel, I've never heard of this guy. I don't know who he is. I'll have a look at him. I will Google him, but I've never met him. I've spent some real time in Afghanistan, so please don't assume. I don't believe you have, mate. I don't believe you have. In fact, I can say you haven't. If you'd have spent time in Afghanistan, you would know what a chai boy is. You'd know what a chai boy is. You would know how boys are abused in Afghanistan. You'd know that, and you wouldn't have respect for that type of culture if you had spent any time in Afghanistan. So, right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, guys, I am going to close this one down now because I've been on nearly 2 hours. Stunrocks, thank you for your comments and your difference in opinion. It's very difficult. I would welcome it. Send me a message, and I would welcome if you want to come on and debate this in real time. I'd be open to that. Very difficult to granulate when people keep changing. You know, you answer a question and then they start talking about something else. You know, it's very difficult. But anyway, guys, I am going to close this one down now. I'll be back at 8, and I hope you're going to be there with me as well, guys, tonight. I hope you're going to be with me tonight at 8.